Welcome to another episode of the Popko Project Podcast. Today I'm joined by Krista. She is the founder and organizer of Rock to Remember. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. I appreciate you having me.
Yeah, this is a little different from what I'm used to doing, but this Rock to Remember is very much a great thing in our community, which is why I created this platform, and it has a lot of musical entertainment that's involved with it. So we're going to get into all of that. But before I do, I want to kind of learn more about you, Krista, because this is our first time actually, I'll use quotes, meeting. We're internet friends now, I guess you could say. But
Yes.
tell me a little bit about yourself, where you're from, where you grew up, and what you do, and then we'll get into the show coming up.
Yeah, for sure. So, my name's Krista Berardelli. I actually moved to the Lehigh Valley. That's where I live now. But I grew up in Scranton, specifically Dixon City, went to Mid Valley, go Spartans. Then I went to Kutztown for school. So, that's how I kind of ended up here in the Lehigh Valley. I started my career actually at the Lehigh Valley Airport doing their marketing. I was never like a person that I saw an airplane and I was like, that's so cool, but somehow ended up at the airport. Fast forward to COVID, then I ended up at the Promenade Shops at Saucon Valley, which is an outdoor upper end type of shopping center. And then I was poached to actually work for a plumbing company. I am not a plumber. I do business development and I oversee our sales, marketing, and account management for Agentis Plumbing, which is located here in the Lehigh Valley. Been quite the twist and turn through my career, but ultimately I'm so thankful to be where I am now. Never thought that I'd want to work for a plumbing company, but it's something everybody needs, so it's easy to talk about.
Well, I mean, back when I was going to school, we were kind of groomed, I'll say, to shun the trades. Don't use your brain, not your hands. They kind of like shun the trades, like, go to college, do, get
Right.
a good job doing whatever. Um, and now we're in a position where there is a huge lack of plumbers, electricians, and tradespeople.
Yeah, so
So
if you're in the Lehigh Valley, we're always hiring.
yeah.
But what I will say with all of that, so I do a lot of networking. I'm very involved in the business community here. And so the cool thing about my position is that typically any event that I go to, I'm surrounded by the bankers and the financial advisors, the realtors, which I do have my real estate license, but that's something, for another day. But I'm usually the only one representing a plumbing company. And when you're at the table with all those business partners that, they have the buildings or they're with schools or things like that, it's really a great leverage, for where I'm at. And people need it. Like I said, I actually found out recently, I don't know if you knew this, but all the water that we consume that goes down the toilet is actually all filtered and we drink it all again,
Oh
which
God.
is insane to me. I would not have known that had I not worked for a plumbing company. But truly, I guess there wouldn't be enough water in the world if we didn't do that. So you learn something new every day.
Yeah, I kind of assumed that, but I didn't really want to think about it like
I know.
in depth.
Yeah,
We're
but
drinking.
with the role that I have, I actually started my own brand, which I didn't get to tell you about. So I have my own personal brand called Krista in the Valley, and it started as I was at the Promenade Shops because I was doing the local leasing and the marketing and stuff. There was not a good platform to post about our vacancies and our advertising opportunities. Like I didn't want to put that on the main social media page, but I wanted to get that information out there. And so I created my own brand called Krista in the Valley, which has really helped me grow as I am as an individual in the business community, what I'm doing for Agentis Plumbing, and then, of course, now what I'm doing for Rock to Remember.
And that's a good segue. Like we can get right into Rock to Remember because that's what we're really here to talk about. You've obviously probably are bringing, like you just said, that your kind of your background into this event as far as planning goes and marketing and advertising and all that kind of stuff. But Rock to Remember, it's a local organization raising funds for brain cancer research. It's in honor of your father, who unfortunately passed away. I'm not sure the details. You can get into that. Tony Berardelli. Talk a little bit about this organization and kind of what kind of where this all started.
Yeah, so I'll kind of go back. So I was 5 years old when my dad had his first brain tumor. So my mom often says I never met the man she married. And I have a younger sister, 2 years younger than me, and a younger brother, 6 years younger than me. And my mom was actually pregnant with my brother, building a house with my dad when that first brain tumor occurred. And so a lot of things that she wanted to do in the house, it was kind of like pick whatever cabinets, pick whatever knobs. Like I have other things I have to deal with right now. And so that was kind of the first segue into it. The crazy part about it is that they found out that they wanted to do an MRI because he was stuttering over his words. So like a lot of people when they get excited about things, they might, say words quickly and they're just like, okay, wait, let me restart. That was something similar that was happening to my dad, and that's ultimately how they found the first brain tumor. And it was like a hand. So you could only go up so far, when you're trying to remove it without really damaging what is going on there. So like they actually did a cut like the letter N and like pulled his skin down. And I remember just seeing pictures growing up. He had like one of those blue, almost like a Krispy Kreme hat, but it's like for an OR, from being in the hospital. Um, so, I never really met the man that my mom married. However, he was still able to be a father. He wasn't the guy that I would go to if I'm like, hey, can I sleep over so and so? Or hey, can I have money for this? But he was still very much in tune with like who we are, what we do, life itself. And fast forward exactly 10 years later, unfortunately, he would go for routine scans. That's just what you have to do. But the tumor came back. And so after the first brain tumor, he did radiation. Now this second brain tumor, you're adding 10 years onto his life. So he was like in his like 50s or so. And with this one, which is really cool, kind of going into your whole like you interview bands and all that, they actually kept my dad awake because my dad was a singer, drummer, guitarist. He did all the things. They kept him awake, and as they would touch around in his brain, they wanted to see, like, they'd say, Tony, sing something, or Tony, say something, to see if it was like messing with his verbal, messing with what he could hear, vision, things like that. So super crazy technology. And that was, I was 15, so that was about 15 years ago. He had it at the first one at Thomas Jefferson. And so anyway, struggled really bad after the second one. They messed with his peripheral vision on his left side, so he would walk into things because for 50 years, you see what you can see, you don't realize you don't see things anymore. He suffered from seizures, so he could no longer drive, which meant it was very difficult to get him to work, because he would also like have seizures there. And the seizures that he had were brought on by stress. So it could
Mhm.
be something as simple as my mom saying like, "Hey, Tone, did you take your bedtime pills?" And him worrying like, "Did I take it? Did I not?" And seizures were anything from like serious throwing yourself all around to just like staring seizures. So super difficult. But we did everything that we could to the best of our ability. My mom is a true warrior. She had him in all these volunteer places and getting him on a bus that he'd be able to get there. Like she really did everything she could to help him. And keep in mind, she was only married a few years before, all of this happened. So anyway, yeah, she's a true warrior. And so he ended up having a stroke, and it happened like right in the middle of his brain. So there wasn't signs of drooping, and he just wasn't himself. And my mom kept saying, like, I don't know what's going on. We don't know. And my mom's a microbiologist, my sister's a nurse. So they can see certain signs of things, and they couldn't figure it out. They didn't know. Ultimately found out it was a stroke. And after that, it was just like, it was difficult. My boyfriend, he has his own home remodeling company. He actually trained my brother, who now my brother has his own home remodeling company up in the Scranton area. But he would install arm bars around our house, just anything that we can do to help him. We put a bed on the main floor because we didn't want him walking up and down the stairs. But it was really difficult. And so my mom still had to go to work. My brother had to go to work. I was out here in the Lehigh Valley. My sister was moved down to Charleston. And it's kind of like, what do we do? And we really tried every avenue we could. Unfortunately, we did have to put him into a nursing home. And at the time, it was the best decision. They had all the equipment to help him go to the bathroom because, like, it was difficult. Like, you couldn't just have one person take him anymore. Um, but very difficult there. They wanted to keep him in a wheelchair, wheelchair bound. And after time, you're just not being stimulated like you used to. Even the food, things like that. He was a diabetic. Like, there were a lot of factors that really, he was dealt a really tough hand.
Yeah.
So yeah, unfortunately, in February of 2025, he passed. And at his birthday is July 17th, and I was like, I'm starting this Rock to Remember. I don't know anything about nonprofits, but I know about events. I know about my family. I know about supporting the community. And so that's where this really came about. And so July 17th, 2025, we launched it. We had kind of an introduction event to try to raise some funds for this big, large event that we're having now, exactly 1 year later, called Rock the Block, happening up in Scranton to really honor his legacy. And we're doing it there for a few reasons. One, Vinny is a long distant cousin of mine.
Oh yeah.
But also, right across from there and across from the Glider Diner, my dad grew up at one of the duplexes. One side he grew up, the other side was Berardelli's Hoagies. So we're really trying to pay a tribute to where he grew up, his community, and everybody that gave back to him.
That's amazing. Yeah, Vinny, that's what I saw too. I said I was talking to Frank maybe a week or two ago, and he was talking about this event he was, they were having. Um, and then I saw the page pop up, and I kind of dug a little deeper, and yeah, I didn't know you guys were like distant cousins, you and
Yeah,
Vinny.
he knows the link. I'm not sure. It's through so and so, so and so, so and so, but we are related.
So how cool to have it. So is it in the parking lot of the V Spot? Like,
Yeah, so we're actually closing down the road. This has also been like a big part, which I'll just leave a little tidbit in here of this. City of Scranton was tough to work with, I'll say. I went through all the avenues and channels that I needed to get certificate of occupancy. Like I said, I have done events before. I understand like a scale of this type of event, and what goes into it before you even decide to call it something, right? Like all the paperwork. And so the most difficult challenge that I came across was beginning in January, submitted all the paperwork. I rented the showmobile for the city of Scranton. And turns out this FIFA World Cup is bigger than I ever imagined or knew was going to be coming to the Scranton area. And they had reached out to me and basically said, we don't have the staffing to get you the showmobile, so we're refunding you. And I was like, I'll pay extra for what, we need to get it from point A to point B. And truly, what I think it was is that they're using it for their FIFA event,
mhm.
which not very ethical in my opinion because I already paid for it, but just be honest about it. So that was a really big hurdle that I had to jump over. And I posted it to social media, which I did not want to do. My dad would never have wanted that. But ultimately, that's how I ended up finding a new stage, which is the stage they use at La Festa Italiana. So it all worked out, thankfully. But we're closing down the road. We're going to have the showmobile there, three different bands playing, basket raffles, 50-50, beer tent, food trucks, you name it. Rain or shine, kids, family friendly. It's going to be a really fun day and something that I don't think Scranton has seen, at least for a while.
And that is July 18th. It's a Saturday,
Yep, July 18th, Saturday from 1 p.m. to 8 p.m.
1 p.m. to 8 p.m. At the V Spot in Scranton. Um, I'm assuming that when you reached out to Vinny, didn't even hesitate.
Yeah, so I actually met Vinny through this process. That's why I said this long distant
Oh,
cousin
okay.
thing. A couple of my cousins were like, I was asking them, where should we do this? What should we do? Because at the end of the day, I'm still a kid up in the Scranton area. I moved out here, I became a businesswoman, but I'm a kid up there. And so I really needed to dial into my Berardelli side of the family and be like, guys, I need some pointers, give me some ideas. And they said to reach out to Vinny at the V Spot. And he jumped right on board. He was fantastic with it. He's like, anything I can do, let me know. I don't know if he knew how big I was trying to make it at the time. Like, I send him now the radio spots, the billboards, all the different flyers, banners, and he's like, wow, we're really doing this. And I'm like, oh yeah, we're doing it. We're going 100%. So he was a gem to work with, has been a gem to work with, and has just gone above and beyond to help me with whatever I need, pulling the liquor license, things like that, to make the event possible.
Yeah, he's the best.
Yes, he
Yeah.
really is.
And how special that it's across the street from the the hoagie shop.
Right. Like you're literally going to be able to see the house that my dad grew up in, which is just, it's so crazy to me because, as a kid, it doesn't really mean so much. And now I'm like, that means more to me. Like if I was able to like walk through there one more time, like that would just be so cool to see. And he's right across from the Glider Diner. Like that's pretty iconic.
Yeah. Isn't it amazing what we take for granted? And
Absolutely.
not on purpose. I mean, it's not anything we do on purpose. It's just, I mean, you're a kid and you're going through like life, and I look back on these moments that were so special.
Yeah.
And this is a cool thing.
I remember I used to love to go into the hoagie shop, get the juicy fruit gum, get the Cherokee red soda, like all the things that like I don't even see anymore. So
Yeah.
yeah, looking back on it and like just to have like a family run business, like an operation like that back in the day, my dad's parents, my nana and papa are both from Italy. So like I know that them learning the language, let alone starting a whole business, like they hung the super sata in there, like it was a legit great, family business.
Yeah. It's a shame that those types of businesses are kind of becoming days of the past, you know.
Yeah, right. I
Um,
agree.
it's I mean, I've always worked for like local media companies, and one of my favorite things, even to this day, is working with locally owned businesses because I just have a lot of respect because it's not easy. There's challenges every single day, whether it's internally with employees or fighting the Jersey Mikes and the
Right.
Chipotles of the world, you know?
Exactly.
So yeah, it's I wish there was more of that mom and pop type of corner deli or whatever it might be.
Well, you guys still have a lot up there in Scranton, so you
We
best
do.
believe every time I come home, I'm getting the pizza, I'm getting the hoagies, I'm doing the whole thing. We have it here in the Lehigh Valley, but I haven't found anything like what it is at home.
Yeah, you're right. There's a lot that's still here. It's definitely not doom and gloom, but it's just, I mean, you look around and there's places that close all the time just because of many reasons. A lot of times just because of financial things. It's like the cost of
Right.
things are going up every day, and it's just almost impossible to keep your head afloat.
Yeah, and I mean, just even on the sense of like starting this foundation. I said I have done major events, I've done all of that, but I've been given a budget to do those events. Something like this, you're raising all the money on your own. So really, it's like who you can get to support you and get behind you so you can make it as great as it can be. Like, I'm so thankful the three bands that we're having are all doing it for free. We're having Black Tie Stereo, which is a huge name in the Scranton area, Strangers Rock, and Destination West. And they're all giving their time and effort for something like this that they believe in. And this is the first annual event, so it can only get better from here. But to have their backing initially is huge. And that's the same thing even with the sponsors. Like, I think I have almost like 35 sponsors for this event, which is absolutely incredible. But remember what I said before, I still have my full-time job. I have my Krista in the Valley thing going, real estate, how that's going, and then, this that I really leaned into. And how I mentioned too, my mom's a microbiologist, my sister's a nurse, and my brother does construction. They're like, we don't know how to help you with this. Like, this is all you. And don't get me wrong, they're my biggest champions. Like, you're doing so great. I don't know how you're doing all of this. And I'm like, okay, well, can I teach you something so you can help? My mom's been great with helping with baskets, getting flyers put up, but you don't even think of those things like from naming the event to advertising the event, like getting things printed. I spent many weekends up there in the earlier half of the year just going into local businesses, asking them if I could put up a flyer. So, any local businesses that are listening to this that have allowed me, thank you so much. But how you mentioned with the Jersey Mikes and all that, like they're not the ones getting behind something like this.
Right. Well, you always hear like, Amazon's not sponsoring your kid's baseball team. It's the
Exactly.
it's the it's the V spots and it's the local locally owned stores that are doing that kind of stuff. So it's a great thing to be a part of. Talk a little bit about getting those sponsors and how you approach them and kind of that process because you can't just walk in and say, hey, I'm doing a fundraiser and can I get a gift card? They want
Right.
more than that. But talk about that process and some of the sponsors that you have and how they kind of got involved and all that.
Yeah. So, on top of having a website put together, I have sponsorship levels. So, that's something I had to put together. I had to put together a letter from the founder so people understand what this exactly is, where it's going to, understanding that it could be a write-off, depending on the business. Obviously, as well, getting all that paperwork to them afterwards so they can write it off. So it's a bigger thing than what I think most people believe. But I actually currently sit on the Cancer Support Community Board here in the Lehigh Valley, and I'm also on the executive committee for the Lehigh Valley Chamber. So I've been around the nonprofit stuff and have understood kind of what needs to be done in order for an event to be successful. I've been a part of golf tournaments, bowling tournaments, all different things. So it's been great to use my network to get different sponsors. However, because it's happening up in Scranton, a lot of them unfortunately could not get behind it because it's out of their territory. So it really had me, going to different businesses in Scranton, and people have been awesome. What I will say is like Mutant Brewing, they are a sponsor and it's not even at their bar. It's at, if you want to say, one of their competitors. So there's been really great people backing the event. Shift 4 is one of them. They're like the payment processing. So if you go to anywhere, a store, and you tap your card, there's different payment processing. Shift 4 is one of them. They're located here in the Lehigh Valley, so I got them to get behind us. Believe it or not, but Lowe's donated. So it was more material based, like trash cans and things like that. I had my first ever event however many years ago, and I forgot about trash cans, and I will never do that again. So thank you to Lowe's. Um, a lot of the local banks, that's something that they love to get behind. But I also am going to have like a photographer that I hired that day to really capture, what is going on. So then this way, for the following year, when I am asking for sponsors, I have actual visuals. I hired a videographer as well to do the same thing. So I've done this marketing side of it all, and I know all the facets it takes. And I will for sure be hiring a committee of some sort, people volunteering next year because a solo man job is not how it's going to be able to keep running.
Right. So the goal is to have this as an annual event.
Yeah, I mean, as long as the city will get on board with me, that'd be great. Basically, since this other FIFA event has gone on, that's just taken precedence, which, I get it. The city's getting a lot of money for that, so I can't fault them. But it does feel like, small fish in a big pond when I have planning it since the beginning of the year. But they pretty much were like, you know what, we can't help you with resources the day of. But if you can handle it yourself, then you're good to go. So I got, cones and road closure signs and all different things. So it's super safe. We know where volunteers are going to congregate, and just kind of the rollout plan for the day.
Yeah. That's a big undertaking.
Yeah, it's scary. I'm terrified.
Well, it sounds like you got a lot of it buttoned up, so that's good. The fact that you're the photographer and videographer, not only for, to help promote future events, but just to be able to capture the day. Because, like, yeah, you can give someone a cell phone and say, hey, like, take pictures, but it's not the same, you
Right.
know?
And, getting the different sponsors, that was part of it. Like getting a photographer sponsor, getting a video sponsor so they know like where their money is going to, rather than just like throwing all this money around, like really getting people behind me. And the goal at the end of the day is the money that is raised here, half of it I want to donate to brain cancer research, like you mentioned. And then the other half of it, I want it to go to students that are looking to get into the music and arts that maybe can't afford a drum set or can't afford a guitar, that they'll be able to do it. Because the stories I've heard of my dad back in the day, he'd ride his bike all around Providence Road, the whole thing, just looking for people that would be part of his band. So I want to help that next kid that maybe can't, afford it, but has an amazing talent do so.
And that's really important too. I'm sure you're aware that the arts and entertainment or the arts in schools is what gets cut a lot because
Yeah.
they're not the ones that are filling the stands on Friday night football games and things like that. In fact, I'm not trying to make this about me, but I used my platform a few years ago to brew a beer called Popko's Porter with a brewery in the back mountain. The two owners went to the same high school that I did, and all the money we raised from the sale of the beer we donated to our high school music program.
Wow,
Yeah,
that is incredible.
yeah.
Oh my
But
God. Do you know
it's
how many like cans you sold and like what the profit
we
was?
ended up giving like $2,000 to
That's
the
awesome.
school. I mean, it wasn't a huge thing. I mean, we only I forget how many cans of beer we actually produced.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome that the brewery, was like got behind that as well.
Yeah,
Wow,
yeah.
that's
You
really
you
special.
really find out how caring people are, and it was a lot of fun too. Don't get me wrong. Like it was a great thing to do, and we had a lot of fun doing it. But it was important that it went to a good cause.
Yeah, I mean, I'll even say just starting this nonprofit, like the amount of people that have reached out to me, people that I haven't heard from, the stories of my dad that I probably never would have heard. Because after, you have your viewing and the funeral and like everyone, you're really in a bad headspace. And now I'm trying to do everything that I can to celebrate his life. And so people that I'm coming across, they're like, oh, I remember when Tony and I did this, or, Tony was like this or like that I probably wouldn't have come in contact with those people had it not been for Rock to Remember. Even my own family members, like we were close, but there was an age gap. And so now that we're all on that adult level, we've all gotten so much closer. They're all helping me. They're going to volunteer the day of, helping with basket raffles. Like it's really been incredible and exactly what my dad would have wanted. And, it's sad because I never really met the man that my mom married. So she says, like I mentioned, but what everyone tells me is that I literally am a ray of sunshine of my dad. So my personality and how I am is like exactly how he was. So my mom has said, she's like, I really wish like if your dad was like healthy and good, like you two would be running the world. It'd be amazing. And, unfortunately, that's not how our story was written out, but I'm going to continue writing it on my end, keeping him included.
Yeah, I can't imagine. It's a great thing, right? But I can't imagine like it's still difficult, right? I lost my dad 21 years ago. I
Wow.
had just finished college. Um, so like my brothers, I was 20, 21, 22 years old.
Yeah, that's
Was
young.
my brothers were like 17 and 14. They were very young.
Yeah.
So they never like got to like know my dad. And my dad was a very like I don't want to say hard ass, but he's a man of very few words. And it wasn't until I finished college that he started talking to me like a fellow adult. And I think that he just felt that he had to be a certain way, like
Hmm.
for like, growing up and like, raising me and my brothers. And then like when I graduated and he realized like I'm an adult, I'm going to go out and get a job now. Like he finally let that wall come down.
Well, and let's be honest, we're all doing this for the first time.
Yeah.
Like, none of us know how this is supposed to pan out or how it's supposed to go. So, him doing his version of what he thought was best to be a father, like, I could say the same thing about my dad too. Like I mentioned, I didn't go to him for sleepovers or this or that. But, I think that there's a reason, and that's what helped shape each of us
Hmm.
because I am probably one of the most strong women in my life, along with my mother because we had to be.
Yeah.
Like I was cutting the grass. Like my mom is the mom dad mixed into one. And for me, my sister and my brother, like we all turned out pretty well, which is amazing considering the circumstances.
Yeah.
Some families have an amazing mother and father, and their kids don't turn out that way. Unfortunately, we were missing, a piece of that for a long time, and we somehow all came out on, say, the brighter side of things, thank God.
Yeah. Well, I don't know if you're a spiritual person or believe in, God and things like that. And if you don't, that's fine. Um, about 8 months before my dad passed, like my best friend's dad passed away, he was like a second father to me. And I always say that everything happens for a reason. And I'm still looking for that reason. I haven't got an answer yet, and I probably never will. But to kind of, I don't know if it's to make myself feel better or just to help through it. I say, maybe God, did this to us because He knew that we could handle it.
Right.
Because other people, that may happen to, they might, go down a dark road, drugs, alcohol, whatever it might be,
Yep.
and ruin their life. But with us, and kind of similar to you, like it happened to a person that had a good support system, good family, and you guys were able to get closer and push through and doing great things like
Yeah,
you're doing. So
thankfully. I mean, my dad definitely got more spiritual as like after his first brain tumor. And I think that's just normal, right? Like you get a really big scare of life. You are grasping at anything you can to try to make things make sense. And I don't know that any of it is going to make sense ever, but how you said trying to find the answers. Like a lot of people will say like, "Oh, I saw a sign of this or a sign of that." And I don't know if it's that I'm not looking for the signs because I sure feel like I am, or if they're not like big enough or bright enough for me to see them. But I feel like through all of this, like what you said before, you see the people that sponsor the T-ball teams, you see who stands up. And that's what this has been for Rock to Remember for me. Like people that I don't even really know, but like have seen me on social media or they know like my integrity of how I am in my job. Like they have stepped up in ways like I didn't know anybody that had billboards up in the Scranton area. I knew radio stations and billboards here in the Lehigh Valley, but I had people connect me and like I can't thank them enough. There's never going to be words in this world that I can express my gratitude towards them. But in the flip side of things, same thing where I'll never have the words to express the pain of what I feel for my dad being gone. Like I always say I was like I wish I could miss you enough to make you come back, like love you enough to make you come back, and it's like unfortunately that's not going to happen. And I feel like a lot of my life growing up was my dad was sick. Everybody knew that. I was on cheerleading team, things like that. My dad would be there. It'd be like halftime, or it'd be like a timeout on the court for basketball, and he'd like stand up in the bleachers and he'd be like, "All right, I think I'm gonna go to the bathroom now." And now next thing you know, the whistle blows. It's a 30-second, timeout. He's like on the court and they're like passing the ball back in. But everybody knew Tony, like it's okay, we'll get him off the court. So everybody's been great for so long, but I've just always been like, this is as good as it's going to get. So like I need to be appreciative of where we are with him because it's not going to get better. So that's been a hard pill to swallow.
yeah. Well, why was this so important for you to put together? I mean, we've touched on some of the things, but like, it's a lot of work. Why was this so important to create the foundation and put all this work in? Obviously, you're donating the money to brain cancer research, and then obviously we talked about music and programs like that. Is this a way for you to obviously honor his life, right? But like, why is this so important to you?
I think one thing that this really touches for me is that we didn't really talk about our feelings when my dad was here. Like, I think we all knew, like, everybody was a little sad, but we didn't talk about it. Even up until the last time, like me, my sister, my brother, and my mom all saw him at the nursing home, it was December of 2024. Like, when you're holding back crying, it's like a pit in your throat. I knew that as like, if I were to like break down with it, they were all going to break down and they were already breaking down, that I felt like I needed to hold this, like, I need to hold the family together. Like I'm the oldest sibling, like I need to do this. And with all of this, it has allowed me to be so much more vulnerable, speak about who he was to people that maybe never met him, go through old pictures and understand his life. We got different VHSs moved to USB, and actually being able to see him like perform. I've seen some videos of him perform, but really just diving into who he was as a person. And as I'm getting older, I'm just getting more and more vulnerable about how short life is. And, we never used to say I love you to each other. It was just not something we did. Now, like my grandfather, I bought him an iPad so I can see him and I could FaceTime with him. He's 94, him and my grandma. He said that there is no more room up in here to learn how to use an iPad. And I said, you just swipe it. And now he calls me on the iPad and he says, I love you. I say, I love you. And it's just something that we didn't do with my dad because we just knew like it was sad and there was nothing that we were going to be able to do to make it better. But now is the time that I really want to bring those feelings forward and let people know that, like, I've just never felt a pain like this before. And until you lose a sibling, lose a parent, lose a child, like it's indescribable. It's just people get it. And throughout all of this, I have made connections with so many other people that have lost their father or mother. And, you know, it's not a village you want to be a part of, but it's a community that you can rely on.
Mhm.
So I feel like throughout all of it, it started with me wanting to be more vulnerable and speak about him. And it turned into like, what I know I'm good at and being able to really capitalize on it to give back to places or people that need it.
Yeah. It, I know that you guys didn't say I love you for different reasons. I think it's also a generational thing. Like I keep turning back to myself and I hate that I'm doing this and I apologize, but
No,
like
no, this is great. I need to hear these things though too, because this helps me.
yeah, so my dad like saying I love you was not something like my dad said to me or my brothers. Just it wasn't a common, phrase. And the day he passed away, I was actually saw him. I was working at an office that my mom worked at, and I was supposed to go golfing that afternoon. And he actually brought my golf clubs from home because I wasn't living at home at the time, to the office and dropped them off for me. And again, this was like right when I finished college, and we had started just becoming like friends, and like we started like talking to one another differently. And I was doing something at the desk, and he was leaving, and I actually like put my head up to say goodbye to him. That I was going to say I love you. At the time, like the door had already closed, and there was a window in the door, and I saw him walking down the hall. And if in order for him to have heard me, I would have had to have screamed I love you. And I said
Yeah.
I'll just tell him later. And a couple hours later, he died.
Was
Um,
that your first time thinking you wanted to say that?
it's the first time that I can remember. It's the first time that like I mean, we had said it prior to that, but it wasn't a common thing.
Right.
Um, I think in that moment, from like this is 21 years ago, so my memory could be a little faded, but like I was going to make a conscious effort to say to him that I loved him, and I didn't.
Hmm.
Um, and I have a, a thumbprint, his thumbprint on my necklace, and on the back of it, it says "I love you" on it because those are the words I wish I would have said
Yeah.
one last
Oh,
time.
wow.
And
Well, and
like,
initially it is the weird, like, I don't want to say weirdest, but it's hard to say that. Like, those are heavy words. And now that I've said it so much more, it feels so much more natural and like not forced. Like, I think I was like, I want to say this because I feel it, but I'm not that person to say it like that.
mhm,
And now, like, I wouldn't even say because of my dad or anything like that. I truly feel those feelings.
Yeah. Yeah, my kids will never not know how much I love them. It is,
That's amazing.
it's before bed every night. It's before I leave for the day or whatever it might be. And I don't take those words for granted either. I mean, when I say them, it's the people that I genuinely love.
Right,
It's
right.
and like you're saying, like it feels good to say it out loud to people that
Yeah.
you love. And yeah, I wish I would have done more of that as a younger individual, especially with my dad.
Well, and like my friends and stuff did. Like I'd hear my friends on the phone say to their parents, I love you. And I don't know if it was just something that, like you said, like the generation thing, like my parents didn't do it. So then I felt like, well, I'm not going to do it if they're not going to do it. But
Yeah,
I'd hear my friends and like they would say it to their family. And it was definitely something I've thought about, but now that I've like made it my own, even my mom will say, she'll be like, "Oh, Grandpa was more talkative today. He said he was on the phone with you earlier." And like she would be like, "Oh yeah, he said I love you at the end of the call." And I'm like, "Yeah, like he doesn't go without not saying I love you to me anymore
yeah,
because it's just I think he means it, you know?"
yeah. And we go through these experiences through this life, and I think we learn from them, and we become better people through that, if that makes
Yeah,
sense. It's
for
unfortunate.
sure.
That's unfortunate, but I'm very cognizant of you know my upbringing and my relationship with my father, and how I don't want that to be me with my children. He's a great man, but it's definitely you just see
Tougher
things.
love,
Yeah,
different generation. And like I said before, we're all doing this for the first time, but we also are getting our own experiences for the first time. So,
yeah,
like, I know growing up, I'm like, "Oh, I didn't want to have a used car. Like, I wanted a new car." Okay, well, now that I'm older, it's like, okay, my mom made the right decision for me. I had a used car. But there are still some things that I stand my ground on. Like, I wish I did buy that shirt. I really wanted that shirt for whatever it was. But those are all of our own feelings, and having the guidance from our parents is huge, and that's why I think it's so hard when you lose a parent, especially so young, because they're still trying to teach you. Like I still feel like I have stuff that I haven't learned.
yeah,
And throughout this process also, I have learned so much from other people. Like I have people that I would say are like, fathers to me because they know of the experience that I had gone through, and have really stepped up without me even realizing it. But looking back now, it makes sense.
yeah. It's tough.
Yeah.
This
This is a
life.
heavier podcast than what you normally
Yeah, it
do,
is.
huh?
It is. I told you it's different than usual.
Well, at least it connects back to the bands and
Yeah.
that whole kind of thing, and with Vinny at the V spot.
Yeah.
So,
Well, talk about that logo because that's pretty sweet. Rock to Remember, Tony Berardelli. You have like
yeah, I
the
got
brain
t-shirt on too.
the
Um,
brain behind the
yeah.
instruments. Like, talk about that process, maybe who did it, how involved you were with that, and kind of all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, well, so like me, my sister, and my brother, we were like, okay, how can we even like put all of this together? Because you're talking about brain tumor stuff and then music stuff. And in a way, so the rock part is for his rock life, his rock star life. And then the remember part is for the brain, right? And
Okay.
so like the rock to remember together just makes sense. And we're like, how do we put guitar, drums, microphone, all the things, but then also represent the brain piece of it. And so that's kind of how we came up with like the brain piece more in the background because he was always in the forefront when he was on stage and things like that. But that was always a part of who he was. And that was before he ever even knew it, you know? So people say that he just rocked too hard. That's why he messed up his brain. But he was just like such a jokester. Like his big jokes would be like, "I haven't seen you since the last time I seen you." Like total dad jokes. We'd go to a restaurant, he'd be like, we'd all be ordering drinks and the waitress would be there and he'd be like, "Well, is the water wet?" And like the waitress is confused and I'm just like, he'll have a water, like, trying to like mend the
Yeah.
situation. but it's just a representation overall of who he is. But that's the rock piece, that's the remember piece, and then that's why we also wanted to go with Rock the Block for this event because it's kind of like a block party, right? It's a block away from where my dad grew up. We're doing the rock piece of it all, so trying to tie it all together the best that we can for people that maybe are coming that don't know my dad, or they're just coming because they want to have a fun day out in the community. We welcome all of that. Like, you don't need to know my dad. Obviously we will have some remembrance things going on there, but really it's going to be just to get the community together, give money back to organizations that really need it to hopefully prevent this happening to somebody else in the future.
Yeah. We kind of went through the day of stuff quickly, which is fine. But I want to kind of get back to, if it's just a person in the world that didn't know your family, why they should come. We talked about it's family friendly, basket raffles, 50/50 drawings. I think there's food trucks as well.
Yep, there'll be food trucks there. We're gonna have a beer tent, so that'll be fun. Bring your own lawn chair so you can listen to the bands play. I don't really know what to expect with attendance in terms of, are people going to be there the whole day? Are they going to come for one band? Are they coming, for a specific thing, maybe just for lunch or just for dinner? But the idea was to be able to give this out to anybody that maybe works during the day, works in the evening, that they can come at some point or another. But yeah, we'll have food trucks so you can eat. Vinny's also going to be chefing up some food from the restaurant.
Nice.
We're gonna have a ton of basket raffles, like a ton, which is really great. And a lot of them are from the Lehigh Valley, and a lot of them are from the Scranton area. So if somebody's seeing this, because I'm definitely going to be sharing it on my social media, there's going to be stuff from both areas there. The three different bands that are playing. So Black Tie Stereo is playing from 1 to 3. And then Strangers Rock is playing from 3:30 to 5:30. And then Destination West is playing from 6 to 8. There's going to be merchandise sales, so these types of shirts along with different hats. I think you mentioned the 50/50 raffle, and yeah, it's really just to bring the family together. It's going to be rain or shine, but kids are welcome. We want to see them running around. I'm going to get some chalk and different things for them to draw and, enjoy their day too, dancing around with the music. But just really just something that anybody from the community can attend.
As far as the bands go, are these bands that you're familiar with, or are these bands that people said, hey, they're really good, reach out to them? What kind of involvement do you have with them?
Yeah, so I definitely have to thank Stephen Murphy with Black Tie Stereo. It was hard to ring them like together for it, but they're actually playing at the V Spot later that night. So that's how I kind of made this event the same day, and in conjunction with my dad's birthday. So my dad's birthday is July 17th, so we're doing it on the 18th. And oddly enough, my birthday is July 14th, and my brother's birthday is July 19th. So we're all cancer babies in the
Oh,
family. But yeah, I have to thank Steven and George and, Jesse, all Aaron from Black Tie Stereo. I know how much it takes to put on a show and set up their equipment early and, kind of have to do it not back to back, but twice in one day. So I am indebted to them. They know that I owe them. But I'm super, super thankful for them because that's really what's going to kick off the day. Then for Strangers Rock, I actually was given their information from somebody that my dad used to be in a band with to reach out to them and said this would be a great vibe to showcase what your dad used to do. And then Destination West, actually, my cousin's husband's brother is a part of that band. And so when he heard about it, he's like, count us in, we'll be there. So there's kind of three different facets going on there between family backing and bringing life to who my dad was through connections. And then, my generation now with the Black Tie Stereo, them getting on board.
yeah. I'm not familiar with Strangers Rock, but yeah, I mean, you're right. Black Tie Stereo, all four of those guys are great dudes. And I'm friendly with Mike Brace from Destination West.
Yep, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah. Well, I mean, it's going to be a full day of great entertainment. I mean, without a doubt. So, if nothing else,
Yeah.
if people just want see some great music.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
it's I didn't mention it's $25 a ticket to come. If you don't buy your ticket in advance, that's fine. It'll be $30 at the door. I also have room blocks booked, so over at the Radisson and at the Hilton for people that are traveling in for this. I worked out, a discounted rate with them. But yeah, I mean, some people like they've asked me like $25, what do I get for $25? And I'm like, you get to give back to a great organization and a fun-filled event all afternoon listening to music,
Yeah.
So if anybody is ever questioning or wondering that, no, it is not a free event. But that's because we have to raise money to do events like this.
Hmm.
And I think maybe in the future, if this gets big enough and, the community really takes to it, it could be a free event. And then, the dollars come in from not only sponsors, but then just the basket raffles and things like that. But, for a first year event, that's kind of why we have to have a cost to it. And I hope that people can get behind it knowing that it's going to, really great causes.
I'm sure people have spent $25 on things that don't matter.
Right, right.
But it's
The
tough though.
Amazon,
It's
right?
it's it's tough. Money's tight, obviously.
Yeah,
Um, but yeah, I mean, but the amount that you get, entertainment, and knowing that it's going to go back to great causes. I mean, what's $25?
right. Exactly. I mean, and every ticket that's purchased, it's like probably somebody that owns their own business and they see like, oh, an order came in. It's like every time I see a ticket purchased, I'm like, oh my gosh, it's just going to be so great. And it's going to make it that much better for the following years to come. I said the other day, like, yeah, well, I'm thinking about for next year. And she's like, so you're doing this again? And I'm like, we're going to figure it out.
Yeah, and you're going to be more involved next year.
Yeah, right. Exactly. You're going to be on the committee, actually.
Well, guess what? Your back's gonna hurt because you just pulled landscaping duty.
Right, right.
Is that too old for
Vinny's
you?
gonna have to
Is
buy
that
another bar, like to make
yeah?
this all work. I don't know.
Is that quote too old for you?
What'd you say? I didn't hear it.
I said, well, you just pulled back. You just pulled. Oh, your back's gonna hurt because you just pulled landscaping duty.
Oh, yeah, I guess so.
Happy Gilmore?
Oh, I did. So I saw that when like the new one came out, but I had not seen that until I watched the new one that came out. I'm so bad. I watch like crime documentaries and stuff.
Yeah,
That's my jam.
like every other woman in America.
I know, I know.
No offense.
Yeah, well,
It just
we
it
have
just
to
is
get
what
our
it is.
rage out some way. At least we're watching it, not doing it.
Yes. Or you're just taking notes on how can I not get caught?
Depends how crazy we get. Remember, you said earlier, you're like, I've been at the same place 3 times over. Am I psycho or what?
Yeah,
We're
yeah.
we're on the edge.
Huh. I think you're right. I said earlier before we started, I said that this is my third tour with Time Shamrock Media. Um, and I don't know if I just love media or if I have a mental illness. And you told me it's
Yep.
probably both.
Definitely
You're
both.
probably right. You're probably right. Well, what else should people know about this event? Where can they buy tickets?
Yep.
And anything else that people should know?
Yeah, so you could buy tickets at fundraiser.com. It's fundrazr.com/rock the block. If you can't come to the event, you can still go to that website, and there's a link there that will bring you to the Rock to Remember page that you can still make a donation if that's something that you'd like to do. Tickets are $25 each, like I said, but if you want to make a donation beyond that, you absolutely can. And on that website, you'll get all the information about what to expect the day of, the breakdown of the different bands that are performing, what kind of music they play. You'll be able to read and see a little bit about my family, so who my dad was, my mom, my sister, my brother, and then all the different sponsors that were able to get behind the event and support us. So it's very elaborate and it's very great. But if you can't come out the day of, we still obviously would love a donation. But if anything, just like our page, we have social media. So Rock to Remember TB for Tony Berardelli. Like our stuff, follow us, share our stuff. That alone is worth millions. So if you get to this point of the podcast, which I hope everybody does, yeah, you can follow us at Rock to Remember TB for Tony Berardelli.
What do you think your dad would say about all this?
First, he would say I'm crazy. Um, then he would say I'm not surprised. And then he would probably say thank you for carrying on his legacy because he couldn't, share it himself. And I love you. I think he would say I love you too.
What's one thing you wish you could say to him?
I wish that I could love him so hard to bring him back that I could say, I love you, and that, thank you for raising me the way that you did, whether you were able to be as present as you wanted to be or not, because this is what you got, and I hope you like it. But we all miss him. We all miss you. And it's never going to be the same, but we're going to do everything we can to make it as best as we can for where we're at.
Yeah. I don't know you, but I think he'd be very proud. I mean, the things that your family have accomplished and, successful in careers and things like that. I mean, how could he not be?
Yeah, well, thank you. That it means a lot. Like a lot of people have reached out and I think that those words go such a long way because like I said, we kind of were just like, okay, this is how my dad is. And we didn't really talk about it. We didn't get really vulnerable. The people that knew him or me growing up knew how he was. But once I moved to the Lehigh Valley and I had like my own little world here, unless you were directly like a part of my life, you would never know. Like people to this day are like, wow, I had no idea that your dad was not really present. And, he was sick and you don't have a father because of like, the way I carry myself and I try to do that purposely. Like I think he's given me an extra, set of armor to be able to protect myself because he couldn't. So it's been really interesting, but I think the biggest part about it that I love the most is hearing the stories and hearing the people that knew about him. But yeah, I don't know you either. And I really enjoyed this conversation. And I want to know what high school you went to.
I went to Lake Lehman.
Lake Lehman.
Yeah,
Okay.
out in the country.
Yeah, yeah. I think we played you for football or something at some point.
Not me. I did not play football.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was a basketball player and baseball player.
Nice. Okay.
Tried.
Yeah,
I'm
that's why
five
you report at the King's College for the baseball.
basketball.
Oh, basketball.
Yeah.
Yeah, basketball.
I
Okay.
went to King's College for college.
Hmm.
And
Okay. Yeah, yeah.
so yeah, I do PA announcing for basketball. But I'm growing up I was very skinny. I think I graduated at 125 pounds.
Wow.
And I'm five I may have been 5'10" back then. I'm probably 5'9" and a half, 5'9" now.
Yeah.
Uh but yeah, I
Oh
mean
my gosh, that's crazy.
sports weren't I mean I was naturally like okay, but it wasn't in the weight room and all that kind of stuff because that wasn't really something that he really did back then if you weren't a football player.
No.
But
I often say that like I'm not really good at anything. I could just participate. So if you need someone for dodgeball, like I'm there, I can try,
yeah,
but like I can't say that I'm great.
yeah, not gonna be your ace.
Yeah, right, exactly. I probably won't be the weakest link,
Right.
but definitely not going to be your
You'll
MVP.
contribute. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, I'm there. I'm there to make the show go on.
And that's important. That's all you gotta do.
Right, right. We can't all be all stars at everything. Come on.
No. I always say that I'm good at a lot of things, but I'm not great at anything.
Right, right. That's exactly how I feel. I'm like, I can do it all. It's just not going to be the best thing that you've
Yeah.
ever seen. But hopefully, Rock the Block is.
Rock the Block is gonna be great. Um, I feel like there's gonna be a lot of love
Yeah.
on that block. July
Will you
18th.
be there?
So, I mean, I'd like to say yes.
Yeah.
I
I
mean,
mean, at
it's
least
like,
for like an hour or two.
yeah. Well, I mean, we had a nice discussion. I'm very friendly with Frank and Vinny at the V Spot. I'm a huge fan of Black Tie Stereo, Destination West. Kind of interested in this Strangers Rock thing.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, I've got kids. It's family friendly. I have no excuse not to.
Right. That's what I'm saying. And then we'll be able to meet in person, which will be really cool.
Right, right. Yeah, I'm trying to think. I have to check my schedule.
Yeah.
I have a wife, so she has the
So
master
she
schedule.
controls it. Yep. Got it. Noted.
It's probably already, I'm already booked on things I don't know really
Yeah.
happening yet. But But yeah, this is great. I hope it's a huge success.
Thank
Um,
you.
July 18th, it's a Saturday, the V Spot in Scranton, Providence Road. I'm sure if you just go to the V Spot, you'll see everything going on, find a place to park and have a good time. So,
Yep, for sure.
well, Krista, it was a pleasure talking to you. I hope this is, like I said before, it's a wild success, and it's easy to kind of head into year two and beyond that.
Yeah, well, and thank you for helping give me a platform to get the word out even more. It means more than you know. And again, this just goes to show the piece of people getting behind and supporting without knowing me or my dad. So thank you. He appreciates it. I appreciate it. And we're getting ready to rock the block.
Sounds great.
Awesome.
All right, we'll stick around for 2 minutes when we wrap up here, and thank you again for doing this.
Sounds good. Thank you so much.
Thanks.